Are you always wondering if that specific somebody is thinking about you? In this video, we are going to take you on an intriguing journey into the world of soul contracts. The knowledge given in this video is based on the insightful guidance of Dolores Cannon, who was a pioneer in the study of spiritual occurrences. On this journey, we will explore the idea of soul contracts, which has its roots in Cannon's findings and teachings. Many times before our current incarnation, our souls establish these contracts, which go beyond simple terrestrial agreements. They guide our relationships, problems, and personal development in a variety of ways. Come along as we interpret these signals, each of which serves as a lighthouse to indicate the existence and significance of these spiritual agreements. Sign 1. Unexplainable emotional connection. In this first sign, we go into the mysterious world of an inexplicable emotional bond, a phenomenon that Dolores Cannon studied in great detail for her studies on soul contracts in past lifetimes. Imagine having a deep, profound relationship with someone that just doesn't make sense. This is a strong, visceral connection that seems to go beyond the typical channels of relationship development. It's not just a passing feeling or an insignificant connection to another. The viewpoint of Dolores Cannon clarifies this occurrence. According to her, these unexplainable feelings are not arbitrary or unfounded, but rather the resurfacing of connections from previous lives in our current lives. According to this theory, our emotions are a transfer of the strong attachments that were made between souls during past incarnations when they first met. It is as though the spirit recognizes a longtime companion, a close confidant from a bygone period, forging an intense yet difficult to explain connection. Cannon experienced a great deal of real-life examples of this phenomenon during her profession. During Cannon's regression sessions, people would frequently talk about intense feelings of familiarity and connection with other people they had recently met in their current lives. These feelings were often accompanied by a comforting, intense feeling that had no connection to anything that was going on in their lives at this time. These incidents support the idea that our souls maintain memories and relationships from previous lifetimes, impacting our present relationships in ways we may not completely comprehend, but undoubtedly feel profoundly. This incomprehensible emotional connection is not an aberration. Rather, it is a sign, a beacon from the past of our souls that points to a deep link that exists beyond time and space and that, according to Dolores Cannon, was forged in the furnace of previous experiences and soul agreements. Sign 2. Deep spiritual bond. In this second sign, we explore the idea of a strong spiritual connection, a crucial component in comprehending soul contracts, according to Dolores Cannon's teachings. This type of connection goes beyond the normal physical experiences and connections we are used to in our daily lives. It has to do with something that speaks to us on a far deeper, frequently mysterious level than something that can be felt or seen. Dolores Cannon discovered the intriguing nature of these spiritual ties through her thorough study of former life regressions. She discovered that these relationships are profound bonds created throughout several incarnations, frequently carrying over the spirit and essence of previous exchanges and agreements, rather than being merely byproducts of our present life experiences. These relationships appear in our current lives in a variety of ways, including emotions of quick and profound connection with someone, unexplained comfort and understanding, or an overwhelming attraction to a certain someone for no rational reason. These spiritual ties are deeper and more intense than ordinary connections. A spiritual tie reaches deep into our souls, even if we may not share many people's hobbies or life experiences. Cannon's writings are full of examples from people who described meeting someone for the first time in their lives and immediately feeling a very spiritual and profound connection. They might characterize these interactions as similar to coming home, a sensation that they had known this person for a very long time, beyond the parameters of their current existence. Sign 3. Feeling of completeness. As we move deeper into the indicators of a soul contract, we experience a great sense of completion. Finding someone who matches your personality or hobbies isn't the only thing that may make you feel complete. This deep sense of fulfillment reaches the very center of your spiritual being. Those who have experienced it frequently describe it as feeling as if the missing component of their soul has been restored. This phenomenon is given meaningful perspective by Cannon's study of soul contracts in past lifetimes. She noticed that when people meet someone from their soul group with whom they have a soul contract, they frequently feel an immediate and overpowering sense of completeness. This emotion is a result of the soul remembering previous relationships and realizing that they have traveled together through several lives. It's as though the soul indicates to the conscious self that a crucial stage in its evolutionary journey has been reached when it crosses paths with a key someone from its past. The idea of soul contracts is closely related to this feeling of completion. Cannon's case studies frequently featured testimonies of people who experienced a sensation of their lives falling into place or a spontaneous alignment after meeting someone. These meetings seem inevitable, and a deep sense of purpose and fulfillment results from the soul contract being fulfilled. Consider a situation where someone has consistently had a nagging feeling that something is lacking in their life, even in the midst of fulfilling relationships and accomplishments. Subsequently, they run into someone who instantaneously completes them, giving them the impression that they have finally discovered the solution to an issue they were unaware they had. This occurrence, which is frequently discussed in Cannon's sessions, signifies the accomplishment of a soul contract, a pledge the soul made before its present incarnation. Sign 4. Perfect timing. In this fourth sign, we will explore the intriguing idea of perfect timing in a soul contract. This is a phenomenon that Dolores Cannon studied in great detail when researching synchronicity and soul contracts. This sign is defined by people entering our lives by coincidence and frequently at very opportune times, just when we need them to either teach us important life lessons or support our spiritual development. The significance of synchronicity in these soul contracts was often brought to light by Cannon's studies in the areas of previous life regression and spiritual connections. She noted that these predetermined meetings are not just coincidences, but rather well-orchestrated circumstances that the soul planned out before entering this particular incarnation. These events are planned to take place at particular junctures in our lives, precisely matching the demands and difficulties we encounter on those occasions. A specific example from Cannon's research is people who, immediately following a major life transition or during a moment of intense emotional crisis, unintentionally cross paths with someone who has a tremendous impact on their course in life. These aren't just chance meetings, rather they're the outcome of a soul contract being fulfilled. These interactions happen at such exact times that they frequently look magical or too wonderful to be true. Another example would be someone who, just as they are about to give up on a goal or desire, comes across someone who not only rekindles their enthusiasm, but also offers just the right amount of direction or encouragement at that precise moment. As Cannon found out, these situations are expressions of the soul's more profound comprehension of its path and the lessons it must learn. The soul, in its wisdom, schedules these meetings precisely to promote personal development, healing, or discovering one's actual path. Sign 5. Sense of recognition. According to Dolores Cannon's research, the deep feeling of being recognized that one feels when they meet someone for the first time is the fifth sign of a soul contract. This is not only a passing feeling of déjà vu, rather it's a profound, somewhat incomprehensible familiarity that makes you feel as though you are seeing old friends or relatives again. Cannon suggests that this recognition is frequently based on ties to prior lives, implying that our souls remember and identify one another from earlier incarnations. Cannon's theoretical frameworks on reincarnations and soul memory offer an intriguing context for this phenomenon. She felt that there is an immediate recognition at the soul level when we come across someone from our soul group in this incarnation. Compared to the typical process of getting to know someone, this recognition is more deep and meaningful. It seems as though the spirits possess a unique kind of memory that allows them to recognize and reunite with one another over several incarnations. According to Cannon's observations, this feeling of identification differs significantly from ordinary first impressions. Our typical experience is that as we spend time getting to know someone, our familiarity with them steadily increases. With soul contracts, on the other hand, the familiarity is instantaneous and frequently accompanied by a powerful emotional reaction. Even though you've just met, you get the impression that you've known this person for years. This may show up in a number of ways, such as an instant comfort level during a discussion, a sense of security, or a natural comprehension of the feelings and ideas of the other person. According to Cannon's research, many people reported experiences of meetings that resembled reunions. Even though they had never interacted with any of these people before in this lifetime, they frequently expressed emotions of relief, contentment, and a sense of returning home when they encountered them. These events provide credibility to the theory that our souls include a recollection of previous relationships, which might be activated when we run across former soul group members. Sign 6. High influence. According to Dolores Cannon's research, the sixth indication of a soul contract is the degree to which specific people control our feelings and choices. This effect may change the path of our lives and profoundly impact our personal development. It is not the same as the typical influence that friends or family may have. Regression therapy work conducted by Cannon has led her to investigate soul contracts and has unearthed several cases in which people were profoundly impacted by someone with whom they had a soul contract. These effects frequently took the form of realizations or significant life transformations. One of Cannon's clients, for instance, described how, after a brief conversation with a stranger, the client received insights that ended years of personal struggle and resulted in a significant change in the client's course in life. These interactions are notable for their profound effects, which frequently have a long-lasting effect on the person's mental health and decisions in life. This powerful effect is essential to the process of growth and learning described in soul contracts. Cannon thought that spirits orchestrated these meetings to enable vital lessons and experiences for their progress. People with whom we have soul contracts are deliberately put in our lives to bring about personal development, enlightenment, and self-realization. Their impact might encourage us to face our greatest fears, reevaluate our decisions, or even go down a road we may not have otherwise thought about. It is clear from Cannon's study that this high effect is mutually reinforcing. It is not only about how these people impact us, it is also about how we impact them. Soul contracts, in which both parties are intended to learn from and grow from their experiences, are characterized by this reciprocal impact. This dynamic is always meant to promote spiritual and personal development, but it can be difficult at times since it frequently calls for accepting difficult realities or making big adjustments. Sign 7. Sense of security. According to Dolores Cannon's research, a strong sense of security and trust experienced when with a soul contract partner is the 8th sign. This is a deeper, more inherent sense of safety that seems to come from the soul level. It transcends the traditional comfort we would feel with friends or relatives. Cannon saw via her hypnotic regression sessions that people frequently spoke of a distinct and enveloping sense of security when they saw a member of their soul group. It was more than simply the usual comfort of being with someone you knew. This was a feeling of total acceptance and understanding on a soul level. It feels as though the soul recognizes its mirror image and instantly becomes at ease, knowing it is in the company of someone it truly trusts, possibly someone from a previous incarnation. The research conducted by Cannon presents a striking difference between our underlying sense of security and the surface-level sense of safety we encounter in our daily activities. A close friend, for example, might make you feel relaxed and at rest, but when it comes to a soul contract partner, the sensation of security is frequently instantaneous and overwhelming. There's no need for the slow building of trust that most relationships require. In the framework of soul contracts, this deep sense of security has great spiritual value. According to Cannon, these emotions are signs that the soul is aware of its predestined path and the other beings it is traveling with. Feeling safe and being able to trust someone is a sign that we are following the path of our souls and coming across people who are essential to our spiritual development. These interactions frequently involve a level of connection that goes beyond words and an unspoken understanding. Vulnerability is made possible in these interactions, which is essential for profound emotional and spiritual healing. It makes room for people to confront their worst fears and difficulties, with the knowledge that they are backed by a link based on the soul's past and journey. Sign 8. Making you a better person. We now examine one of the most significant features of the 8th sign of a soul contract, the function of soul contract partners in promoting personal development. This idea, which is essential to Dolores Cannon's teachings, highlights the fact that the people we come into contact with while following these soul agreements are not merely accidental occurrences. Rather, they act as catalysts for our own growth and metamorphosis. According to Cannon's considerable research on previous life regression treatment, communicating with soul contract partners can result in substantial improvements in one's own life. These people encourage us to face our worst fears and inadequacies by challenging us and forcing us to step outside of our comfort zones. For example, in Cannon's case studies, several clients described how they met someone who, in an almost easy way, made it possible for them to recognize parts of themselves that they had previously been blind to and that required development or change. These soul contract partners have a significant and frequently transformative impact on people. They might motivate someone to alter their profession, their personal convictions, or even their whole way of living. These interactions, according to Cannon's research, frequently served as mirrors, reflecting not just our actual selves but also our potential and the routes we may take to reach it. These exchanges are essential to understanding the purpose of the soul contract. According to Cannon, these contracts provide a way for our souls to acquire particular teachings that are essential to our spiritual development. Therefore, these soul contract partners are a predetermined part of a larger plan to assist our evolution. They come into our lives to fulfill certain responsibilities that help us learn, including supporting us, posing problems, or motivating us to make changes. Sign 9. Sense of connectivity. According to Dolores Cannon's teachings, the persistent feeling of interconnectedness is the 9th sign of a soul contract. This is not simply the everyday sense of being in contact with someone. Rather, it is a more profound, ethereal connection that endures over time and space, apparently impervious to the limitations imposed by the material world. This incredible connectedness, which Cannon saw running across many of her regression therapy sessions, is explored in depth in her work. Many times, clients would talk about a connection they had with that person that persisted no matter how much time had gone by or how far away they were. This connection may be seen as an unfathomable force that would ultimately bring them back together after extended periods of time apart, as a continual presence or as a sensation of someone being a part of their lives even while they were apart. Cannon's work included an illustration of two people who lived in opposite regions of the world for decades, yet continually sensed each other's presence and impact in their lives. Their relationship was as strong as it had ever been when they ultimately got back together, as if no time had gone at all. Cannon saw this as proof of a soul contract, in which the souls are bound together and make sure that their journeys always intersect in line with their spiritual destiny. This kind of relationship has significant spiritual consequences. According to Cannon, this ongoing connectedness is evidence of the profundity and enduring quality of the soul's connections. It transcends the material world, signifying that the relationship is grounded in something far more profound, a spiritual contract or agreement that the souls have made with one another, rather than only being based on emotional or physical interaction. This enduring connection frequently has a deeper meaning for the spiritual development of both parties. It's not random or just for company. Rather, it's a necessary aspect of the soul's journey, making sure we come across and engage with others who support our spiritual development and teachings. Cannon teaches that these relationships are predetermined and meticulously planned by our higher selves to make sure we are challenged, encouraged, and directed by the appropriate individuals at the right moments in our lives. Sign 10. Deep care. The 9th sign of a soul contract, which is extensively discussed in Dolores Cannon's work, is our intense care and concern for specific people. This is not the typical love we would have for friends or family. Rather, it's a more profound and all-encompassing kind of caring that frequently goes above and beyond what is considered typical or expected. Throughout her years of studying previous incarnations and soul contracts, Cannon came across several cases in which people showed an unusually deep concern for someone they had either recently met or only had a brief connection with. This care was not just emotional but also spiritual, showing itself as a strong desire to see the individual flourish and be content, even at the cost of suffering or personal sacrifice. One particularly moving example from Cannon's case studies was a customer who had an intense feeling of duty and concern for a coworker. The client felt almost parental in the concern shown, even though there was no rational reason for such intense emotional engagement. This caring went above and beyond professional civility or friendship. Regression therapy was used to explore the matter, and found that the two had a soul contract based on links from former lifetimes in which they had been important figures in one another's lives. The client was experiencing an intense, unexplainable concern for their colleague as a result of this previous relationship, which was impacting their current situation. According to Cannon's thoughts, soul contracts are characterized by this sort of caring. It is based on the agreements our souls made before assuming our current physical form. Therefore, it goes beyond the confines of our typical relationships. This care is a spiritual duty, a component of the soul's responsibility to support others on their journey, and is not constrained by the conventional boundaries of time, place, or social context. As we come to the end of our exploration through the signs of a soul contract, inspired by Dolores Cannon's insightful teachings, we gain a better knowledge of the complex material of our spiritual relationships. Every indication, ranging from the inexplicable emotional bond to the profound concern we experience, bears witness to the potent covenants our spirits have formed. In summary, these signals are significant indications of a soulful journey that is deeply knit into the fabric of our existence, rather than being random events or transient periods in our lives. They serve as a reminder that our connections are more than just exchanges. They are a part of a larger cosmic scheme intended to advance our spiritual development. By accepting these signals, we allow the wisdom of our soul's journey to lead us into a world of expanded awareness and connections. Let's keep this realization in mind as we move through life, enhanced by the understanding that our soul contracts are directing us in the direction of our ultimate purpose and destiny. Thank you for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you haven't already, please subscribe to our channel so that you may receive updates on new videos that will provide you with additional knowledge, manifestations, visualizations, philosophy, and personal development ideas. Feel free to share your thoughts if you enjoyed this video. If you have watched until the end, please respond with Master Motivational Mindset so we can connect.